welcome to Podcast Fandom, the official podcast for ProjectFandom.com. I'm your host, Nina.
I'm Kaylee.
And I'm John.
And we are back to discuss Ranking of Kings, Season 1, Episodes 7, 8, and 9. 7, 8, 9. Oh,
9. Get
it? So, apologies because Donnie is making dinner in the background. And John said that
I'm not sorry for shit.
He said he can't hear it.
I can't?
Okay.
So we're
trusting that you guys can't hear it too. But if you can hear it, I'm sorry.
Because me and you can hear it through our headphones.
Yeah. It's like driving me insane. I want him to hurry the fuck up. But also, I'm hungry and he's the one making dinner. So I'm just going to kind of shut the fuck up. So everybody, shut the fuck up. If you hear it, apologies, but don't complain because I got fed.
Yeah, if you hear it, shut the fuck up.
Exactly. No complaints. No, seriously though. Sorry if it's annoying, but we're trusting that you can't hear it.
Still not sorry.
So we're gonna do things a bit differently, and this is going to be difficult for me because whatever you're cooking, like Donnie, it is literally like tickling my throat and my nose.
Fine.
Really?
Yeah. I just smell food.
That's the delicious aroma.
Oh, shut up.
That's my
Anyway.
Johnny, you're not on this podcast. Shut up.
Yes, exactly. Please, let us do our jobs. We're going to do things a little bit, Nico, a little bit differently tonight. We're actually going to read feedback first.
Is it feedback from the last episode?
Yes. So, Josh is the listener friend who recommended this show. And this is actually his special time travel tier request for us to cover. Demand. Yes. I'm sorry if you hear also, apologies, my dog in the background being an asshole. And so typically when we do your request, you get to send in kind of like a testimonial of why you picked what you picked. So I'm going to read that. And then he also sent in feedback for episodes, what's the last ones we did? 4 through 6.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6. Right up the butt. Get it?
What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know. Like 7, 8, 9, like 8. So 4, 5.
No, I get that one.
Oh.
I was being silly.
Hold on, let me look at Urban Dictionary. What does 5 mean?
I don't know. I was
4,
being
5, 6.
Whatever,
Oh my God.
whatever it is, it was right up the butt. So let me pull up the testimonial 1 second. Sorry, I got distracted. Huh?
Does your iPad have facial recognition?
Uh-huh.
Mine doesn't.
Sorry. I don't know what you want me to...
iPads did that. That was just a phone thing.
All this time, you've not noticed me turn on my iPad with my face.
No.
Like, we literally are together. Literally almost 24 hours a day. Jesus. Don't have kids, John. Just don't. They just break your heart.
Not anymore?
You're right, anymore. Don't have any more kids. They just break your heart. Okay. So Josh says, and this is funny because Josh, I guess at this point, I guess he didn't know that it's not Donnie on this podcast. So he's like, hey, Nina, John, and Donnie. So you have my permission to cuss his ass out. No.
Yeah, right now.
Right now. Just say
People
it.
should know if it's an anime, expect me on it. When have you guys ever covered an anime without me?
We haven't.
Yeah. Exactly.
Josh, you done fucked up.
You know what? We're not going to read this. You know what? We're not even going to talk about this show.
You fucked up, Josh. Good night. Okay, no, but seriously, over the past year or two, I've been binging anime shows because I wanted to see the best animes everybody was watching. Can I just interrupt and say I'm so happy that you share with us what you find, because I know of at least twice, maybe more, that you've posted in a group, and I've shared them with you when he's done it, and we've actually like, oh, we should check this out based on his recommendation.
Classroom with the Elite?
Yes, yes,
that's good. I love it.
yes, and you started right, and I shared it with you at least 2 times that he's done it. So Josh will watch, like he's saying, binge a bunch of anime. Typically, like if he finds like a list, like the best of type thing. And he would share with us a review, really honest, in depth, not spoilery at all. And I trust his opinion. So I'm happy when you share what you find in the group. So he goes on to say, well, Ranking of Kings kept showing up at the top of these lists. After months of dodging, I finally gave it a try. Initially, the animation style threw me off, but then the storyline drew me in because it had the palace intrigue of Game of Thrones. Then episode 4 hit, and I thought, this shit is Game of Thrones. Then I was all in. This show has a close place in my heart because in high school, I had a cousin who was deaf, but everyone thought she was crazy because they couldn't understand what she was trying to say. I took sign language classes just to talk and interpret for her. She was just excitable and trying to get her point across. Boji just reminded me of her. I love everything about this show. The beginning song I could listen to over and over.
Yep.
This show, Attack on Titan, and Demon Slayer are the only shows I'll watch subbed. Like, oh my god. You just named, like, for me, those are like...
Your faves.
Yeah, those are my faves. And the best part is finding the Game of Thrones connections. I hope you guys like it too and find the Game of Thrones connections that I've missed. Thanks, Josh. So that was his, like, letter of endorsement. And so then he sent in about episodes 4, 5, 6.
I get it.
Thank you. Hey, Nina, you don't have to read the character list. It keeps me on track. My thoughts are below. Oh, absolutely, I'm reading. So he's doing, and Kaylee, you won't get this. He's doing Game of Thrones comparisons to this show, okay? Also, you may hear Donnie coming back in with the dog. Sorry about that. So, King Bosse is like Robert Baratheon. Queen Healing, Cersei.
All right.
Boji, maybe Jon Snow.
Okay,
Daida.
Hold on. Let me think about it. Hold on. Jon Snow.
Kind
There's
of like
Arya there too.
the kind of
There's
like
Bran there too. Anyway, go
the
ahead.
innocent, not bastard son, but almost like, even though he's older, second son. I don't know. I can see a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's kind of all the Stark kids, I would say.
Yeah. Daida, Joffrey, obviously. Kage, Tyrion. The magic mirror, Miranjo, is Melisandre. I forgot how to say Melisandre. Well, oh, you know what? I'm mixing it up with...
Missandei.
Missandei, that's right. Melisandre. Appease is like Miranjo's hand. Oh, like the hand of the king. Bebin, Snake Charmer, is the hound. I see it. King Desha, Lord of the Underworld, is like Stannis. Is what? Desha. Excuse me. Lord of the Underworld is like Stannis.
I think like Bebin could also be. I've already forgotten his name. Bruce Wayne. That guy.
Jorah. So Jorah.
Yeah, Jorah. Yeah. He could also be him. But I guess like that could be Appease, right? He might get to Appease, or did he already do Appease?
We already did Appease. He was just saying like any hand. Appease was like any hand of the but for the mirror, for Miranda. Yeah.
So I think Appease. Yeah, I think Appease is probably a better for Jorah. Anyway, go ahead.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can see that too. Prince Despa is Renly. And yeah, that's it. So, Donnie, I swear to Christ on a cracker. Okay, for this like the loudest retrieval of a treat in the history of
no
retrieval.
quiet way to open that bag.
Okay, all right, fine.
I hope we meet someone who's Ramsay.
Wait, what?
On this show.
Oh.
That would be
No,
really
I
fucked
do not hope that. Why would you say that? That's terrible.
Because it's terrible.
Jesus. Episode 4, he says, all I cared about in this episode was dumbass pushing Boji into that pit. And just like in Game of Thrones, I was fully invested when they tried to kill a child. This is when I started calling him Jamie. Yes. Did you see it coming? Absolutely not. And we kind of talked about that in last week's podcast. Absolutely not, didn't see that coming. Daida, Joffrey's mirror on the wall reminded me of Melisandre. Would you consider Boji dancing with the guy in the forest similar to Jon Snow meeting the wildlings? Might be a stretch Game of Thrones reference. It did have a kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a tribal chant type deal to it. I could see it kind of be related to the way of life of the wildlings and the kind of myth and lore and stuff that they had out there with what was his name? Mance Rider. God, why are I'm forgetting the stuff that we used to talk about all the time?
I think it's Raider.
Okay.
Mance Raider.
Yeah, it is. I was right all along. Never mind. I'll edit that out. For episode 5, he says, this is where shit got real intriguing. Also, this is where I started gaining a little more respect for Daida. I'm going to do that all season. Sorry.
Data.
Mm-hmm. A little more respect? He may look like Joffrey, but he's way smarter. Oh, is this the episode where he didn't drink the potion?
Oh.
Yeah. He was like, I want to be number one on my own. But he also still tried to have his brother killed, so fuck him. You
always bring that up.
Yes. She'll tell you, when we talk about these next 3 episodes, the whole time, I was just like...
he's going to do something terrible, but he needs to try to kill Boji.
So fuck him. It's fuck him forever.
Yeah, we do. I mean, Joffrey will drink something. We know that.
Right, exactly. It would have been drunk. Also, I couldn't tell he ordered Domas to kill Boji or the mom. No, it was him.
Ooh, why would the mom do it?
Right? I don't think that was ambiguous, was it?
Or is he saying ordered him to kill Boji or ordered him to kill the mom?
Oh. No, I think it's pretty clear it's Boji. Yeah. Domas equals Jamie, Game of Thrones connection confirmed. Yes. And then for episode 6, he says, here we find out who the mirror is. I can't think of who Appease would be in Game of Thrones. Also, I don't know why he's so loyal to Boss in one moment, then Miranjo. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in these. We have questions about him, Appease, in these episodes. King Bosse.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say it right?
Dessa.
And Prince Despa give me Stannis and Renly vibes. Thanks, Josh. You're welcome. Thank you for suggesting such a great show. At least I hope John still thinks it's great.
Game of Kings.
Game of Kings. What did you think of these episodes, John? 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, they're great. I think I think the apprenticeship stuff is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about last week, like the idea of Boji being, the child of giants, and what does that mean, and the curse, and learning about Boss and his history and what he did, and it's all it is very deep. It's a lot deeper than I would have expected. I guess coming into it, just looking at it, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that deep of a show, right?
Right.
It doesn't seem like it's going to have that deep of a plot.
Yeah, it's complex too. Honestly, I am furiously writing notes when we're watching this, to the point where I realized partway through episode 8, I was I spend a lot of time just watching it because it's so good. Some shows I can kind of watch and write at the same time, but this one I'm I watch the scene and then I try to quickly summarize what just happened and then the next scene. So I end up missing a lot of why we are in a certain place, or the clear establishment that this is a flashback or something. So I end up kind of jumping in and being wait, what? Why? What are we doing? But beyond that, it is complex because I think and maybe it'll surprise me, but I feel like it's one of those things where we can kind of see, I think by these episodes at least, what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what the deal is.
Kind
but
of. I still have a few questions.
Yeah. But like
the show is intentionally hiding character motivation.
Yes.
Like obscuring it in a
Right.
way that, like, I mean, a lot of animated series don't do. And I would, like coming into this, I would not have expected this show to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it. Because I think we talked about that too with anime, the kind of exposition.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we get it.
But that's like typically seen in shonen anime. Like the classic shonen anime where it's like My Hero or Naruto or Dragon Ball Z.
And this is definitely not.
Well, now you have my attention.
Yeah.
he's like one anime I know.
Yeah, that anime. Well, the one that I'm seeing the most of, for sure.
Yeah. I'm kidding.
I've seen like 900 episodes of that.
Speaking of which, one reaction channel I follow on YouTube, I like literally a few minutes before we called you, I noticed they put up their latest reaction, and it's to One Piece, and it's like episodes 930 something through 940 something, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't even know if I could be that committed to you, Kaylee. Like, yes.
Huh?
Like,
Do you mean in general?
Yes. Just in life, that's a long commitment to that show.
I've been here living with you for 23 years. I think that's enough.
No, I feel like it would take me longer to get through One Piece.
Like, I've been around as long as One Piece has been around. You're fine.
I don't know. It's daunting. It's just the thought. And I'm watching them, and they like, and I know it's a reaction channel, so it's their job, right? But the little thumbnail, they're like animated, and shocked and amazed. And I'm like, wow, to still be like that invested in, not just still watching, but like that invested in a show, 900 episodes in. That's insane. Yeah, okay, we'll get there. Anyway, John, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Do you think they're actually still that invested, or like you said, it's their job?
I think, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of it, but it's huge. So I mean, like, that many people can't be wrong.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I have a friend who one day out of the blue just decided she's going to start reading the One Piece manga. She finished it in like less than a month. She got all caught up in less than a month.
Jesus.
She was like that invested into it. She
Wow.
really enjoys it. And I think it's like, once you're like in deep enough, you stop paying attention to how much you've watched. You're just enjoying it as you watch it. Like we did with Hunter x Hunter. Like,
yeah,
when we got into like the later arcs, especially the Chimera Ant arc, it's like, yeah, it's 60 episodes, but we're watching it. It's like, wow.
Yeah. You love that there's so much ahead when it's that good. Yeah,
that's great. I hope. I mean, obviously, like you said, that many people still into it can't be wrong. And like, I hope it is still just as good, because like, I mean, just as an example, right? Like The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking
that was
that
a
too.
show.
That
was a show that I was like, well, I've already watched it for so long, and that's not even that many episodes. I mean, it's like, what is it like? What I've seen is like 60 episodes or something, and like, I was like, man, I'm this deep into it, I gotta finish, and then I just didn't.
Then you didn't.
And so, like, I don't know, like, yeah, if I were, I don't know, if I got 100 episodes into One Piece, I'd be like, oh, I'm in it now.
Yeah, you got.
Like, I gotta keep going.
And what are they up to now? Like over 1,000. So that's like 10% in.
I watched about 100 episodes before I ended up stopping.
Okay. Anyway, John, I'm
that's
sorry.
One piece of it. Yeah, and then I really am interested, like, the way, like, because Daida is terrible, but also, like we talked about last week, like, I feel like he was, like, manipulated by the mirror, right? Like, a lot of the terribleness of him so far feels like it was the mirror through him, right? Like, manipulating him. Like, so, like, when we got to episode 9, and he's like in the Phantom realm or whatever, he's like walking around, he's like losing his mind. I was feeling for him. I was like, oh man, he's a child.
Yeah,
and like his father did this to him.
Listen, I have it in my notes. This child. I've even put. It's like he was throwing a tantrum, and that reminded me. Oh, he's just a child.
Right.
He's younger than
and like he's younger than Boji.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying these.
Okay, Kaylee, your turn.
I am enjoying it. I'm more invested than I was before. I mean, I was invested before, but like, remember?
I like how every week she's like, I really absolutely would not normally watch this shit. This fucking shit you got me watching.
This is beneath me.
but I must say, it is tolerable this week. Excuse the shit out of me.
No, I was just about to say, now I'm at the point where I would watch this myself.
Okay.
I'm curious, and also, I really want to see what Miranda looks like, even though we probably kind of already did with that one scene, but I don't know if that's weird, that counts.
Listen. This is, like when people, I know a lot of people hate this, like if you're watching something and you like it, and then you recommend it, and then they start watching it, and they're like, when does it get good? And it's like, well, fuck you, okay?
I hate that.
I don't know what to tell you.
That's how I feel. I was watching, Haikyuu, the volleyball anime I really like. Mm-hmm. I recommended it to my friend, and he was like, I find it boring. I was so offended.
We're not friends anymore.
But for some stuff, you can answer that question.
Yeah,
you get it. You're like,
Hunter.
Well, yes. Or even like with like Attack on Titan, like everybody's like, oh, you got to get to episode 7 or 8 or whatever it is,
the
right?
episode that you didn't reach when we first talked about those years ago.
Look how bitter you are. I can't believe you're still bringing that shit up. Anyway, but yes, exactly that. So for this show, I was going to say, for this show, Kaylee could tell people, oh, episode 7. Mm-hmm. It would be for you. Like that was when it.
I think for most people, it would be episode 4. But yeah,
you need a little more fuckery, and we know.
I need more death.
The attempted murder for child wasn't enough.
Yes, it was only attempted.
Right.
That's some of those things. Like a few years ago, I kind of evolved in my TV watching, right? Where I was like, if someone says it doesn't get good until episode 7, I'm starting on episode 7. Like, I'm not gonna watch the bad ones. There's too much TV. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you tell me it gets good on episode 7, I'm starting on episode 7, and I'll read what happens in the first 6. Or like if you say, oh, the second season's good, the first season sucks. Okay, I'll read the first season and then start on
Wikipedia
episode 1,
that
season
shit.
2. Because I'm not going to sit through something you tell me is bad.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like, even it's funny because Jack is watching. Is this Hump the Dog time? Yeah, it's Hump the Dog time. Sorry, this is. Everybody's like, what?
That was such a weird transition because I was like, what is he watching? Jack is watching, is this Hump the Dog time? Like, what?
So game
show?
I'm so sorry. No. So every night around this time, Nico, Nico likes to hump his little plushy dog. What were we saying?
Jack's watching something?
Yes. Lord Jesus. Jack is watching Doctor Who.
He is?
He told you. You were not involved in this conversation at all?
No.
I thought you were sitting here when he told me. No. Maybe it was Donnie. Okay.
From like, is he like starting with Christopher Eccleston?
Yes.
Or
yes. Whatever is on HBO Max. So I'm assuming that's where he started. Yeah. So that's and it's. I remember with that show, I could understand if you tell people like,
you can still hear him.
I can totally still hear him humping that thing from the other room.
Is the door closed?
I don't know. But with other shows, like, I mean, with that show, I remember telling people, I understand, like, you got to stick with it. Like, I would tell people, watch Hush. You know what I'm talking about, John? Like that episode. To just kind of get people, like, interested. And I hated doing that. But what I found is, like, if I could get people interested, they were willing to give it a shot. They could sit through what I consider, like, now in retrospect, I love it all, but I can see where the first season is a little hard for people to swallow because, like, the special effects, it's kind of hokey. It's super British, especially if you're not used to, you know. But, like, for, like, people, like, the journey of it all, and I guess, like, the type of show it is, the fact that he regenerates and stuff like that, it just seems like such a shame for somebody to say, well, I'm going to start with David Tennant, or I'm going to start with Matt Smith.
I totally forgot it doesn't start with David Tennant.
Oh my god! This whole time I was saying Christopher Eccleston, and you're just like,
no, because like I was like, who is that?
Oh my god! I think wait. You do know there are doctors before.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were talking about, like,
Sean.
the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Is Jack really starting from the very beginning?
It's like, is he watching that black and white joint? No.
That's what I thought.
No.
A radio show.
Right. This is Jack we're talking about. Let's be real. So anyway.
I would tell people, like, with Doctor Who, I would say watch Blink. And if you
That's
like
what I
that,
meant. What did I call it?
Hush.
Hush.
What was Hush?
Like, I don't know.
The Buffy episode with the gentleman.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure what the hell you're talking about with Hush, but I was like, yeah, sure.
Blink. Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, Blink. Because I think that's the one that I'd be like, yeah, because it's Doctor Who without actually being Doctor Who. Like, it's a standalone episode that you don't have to know anything to actually get the feeling of what the show is.
My favorite episode is still the what's it called? We're on the train and it takes place all in that train.
Midnight. Yeah. And it has homeboy from Merlin in that episode with that little alien thing that kind of starts mimicking, moving from people to people. Yeah.
I just really like it because that's another episode that has, like, a little instance of Rose before we got the return.
Yeah. Look at you spoiling Doctor Who.
No one's gonna know what I'm talking about.
Did you know that this? I probably knew this and forgot, but did you know that David Tennant's married to the daughter of a previous Doctor? Yeah, I just saw that. Like I said, I probably knew it. Years ago.
I think you did, and their kid was I would just say the teenage Aegon in this season of House of the Dragon.
Wow.
Yeah, their son. I forget his name.
Nepotism over here.
All right. Did you say how you felt overall? Are you done?
I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
I still want to see more.
Oh my god. So you can finally have somebody psychotic and attractive. Okay. All right, let's talk about these episodes. So episode 7 is...
Did you say what you thought overall?
Oh, I thought it was pretty clear. I still love it. I do. I love it a lot. I'm going to punch this dog in the face. It's like... You know what? Oh, I'm so glad you asked me that. Because I was like, I'll figure it out as we're talking about the scenes. But one thing I did want to say is I like how it will be funny in places I don't expect it to be funny. Like with Despa and the food. Mm-hmm. So, like...
Boji put LSD in their food.
Right? I was like, what is happening? And then, like, the next day, when we talk about it, I was like, oh, he's going to reveal the curse. Because he was like, I had to talk to you. It's really serious. But no, he was just like, we can't let that motherfucker in the kitchen no more.
Because his stomach is good. Right? My stomach cannot handle spice.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, like stuff like that. And again, it's like, I feel like, we'll talk about it in depth in a bit, but I feel like they want you to think one way, like you said, they're hiding people's motives. And even though I think it's pretty obvious where some of it's going, you still have questions. So it's not. It keeps you guessing, and we still have like not just in questions about what's to come, obviously, but like even how we got here to like some of these places and these people and why they are the way they are.
I just want to know how the king and Miranjo met, how they know each other, and what's going on.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, because the first we saw was just him asking for. Well, he was asking the devil. He was. Yeah, he went. She was translating. Oh, so I see what you're saying. Like they came there together. Yeah. Okay. For some reason, I thought she was connected to the demon.
The fact that she could translate the demon.
Yeah.
So, this is something I didn't catch. It so they confirmed that is Miranjo.
Yeah.
With the demon.
Yes, in the hood.
In that scene?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because specifically,
we were watching it with captions,
and I paused it because, like, I don't remember exactly what.
Go out.
Right, and then and we talked about this on Funimation, like if you pause it when you go back, you have to put the captions back on if they were on for some reason. Like even just saying it pisses me off that this is such a thing. But when I paused it, it was on the demon's face, but it said the caption said Miranjo, and then whatever she was saying. And I said to Kaylee, I was like, oh, that's the demon's name, Miranjo. And Kaylee was like, really? Because that's the mirror's name. And I was like, I don't think she's in that scene. And so then when we rewound it, when you came back with Nico, then I noticed she was standing back there. Yeah. I didn't get that at first.
All right. Yeah. Like, that changes how I interpreted the scene. Okay. And the episode.
Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. So y'all ready to talk about them? All right. Like I said, episode 7 is the Prince's Apprenticeship. And it begins with Daida being shoved. I first, like when the episode started, remember, I was like, oh my God, I forgot that this is like how it left off with him. They're forcing an unconscious Daida to drink this elixir of. Now, do you remember when I went to write this down, I couldn't remember if they said elixir of resurrection or reincarnation. And I think you said incarnation. I was like, I think it's resurrection because it is resurrection. Yeah, because there's a difference.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's resurrection. Okay. And then she's like, the mirror, she's like, I have to say this incantation. And she starts saying the incantation. And then I completely forgot about this for the rest of the episode. Yeah. Yes.
I was just like, they were fucking him up. They were fucking Daida up. I was like, man, this kid.
See, you kept remembering the sweet kid that he's a child. And I just was just like, that's what you get. Ask Kaylee through these whole episodes. I don't know why. I don't know. I just love OG so much. But we'll talk about it more because I have questions about this character and where you guys think he's going. So when we're back with Kage and Boji, they're speaking to Despa and they're trying to convince him. They're saying how they were just with his brother, and they give him the scroll, which is all.
I got a question about this guy. Why does he stand like that?
Because he has childbearing hips.
Just like standing, like he'll just be. It'll cut to him, and he's just like standing with his waist bent like to the left. Just like, why is he like this? And his face is all weird. Anyway, go
ahead. But he's supposed. I think we talked about this last time. The character is clearly supposed to be good looking, right?
Yeah.
Or at least he thinks he is.
Or he thinks.
He's like, yeah, I'm hot as fuck. And it's like, yeah, you look better than your brother, I guess.
So, he eventually agrees to do this, but he wants to be paid.
I love what he says. He's like, I need enough compensation to cover my needs.
What did he say, John?
Oh, he said, I like when he was talking about he was trying to haggle for money, right? And he was like, and Kage was like, "Oh, you want money?" He's like, "Of course I want money. I need enough compensation to cover my needs and hopefully some wants too."
I love that.
I was like, "Yeah, I get this guy."
But then when he opens that thing that has all the jewels in it, and he's like, Kage is like, "I saved, that's my entire life savings." I was like, holy shit, he's really going to take this poor Shadow's life savings. He goes, or at least since I took it from the castle. Did we see him take that stuff?
No, I don't think so. It's like, it was so, like, when he vomited up all his, like, worldly belongings.
Yes.
And I was just like, what the fuck is this guy? Is this how he just keeps... I know he carries things like this, but it was just so weird to see. It reminded me of No Face. In Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, brah.
And it's even crazier considering we know that's not like what he's supposed to look like, apparently.
Yeah. Oh my god. I can't wait to find out more.
Right? So Boji had... Huh?
What if, like, he's cursed to look like that? Like, what if he, like, that he gets turned into whatever he's supposed to look like, and it's like a human or whatever, and then like, what does he have his shit just inside of him now?
All the stuff he was carrying around.
Yeah,
I don't know.
In his stomach.
Oh no.
I think it could happen.
Because now I'm thinking of how it was in Spirited Away, and it was just all that trash and ugh. You know what I'm talking about? The pollution, the river demon or whatever it was. Okay, so Boji has no muscle strength, and like none at all. He's like, this is the weakest being I've ever seen in my entire life.
I love. That's part of the show that I really love, is that, like, when he sat them down and he's like, I have the ability to see shit that other people can't. And I was like, does he? And then, like, yeah, he does. Like, literally, like, he can't, like, this is the kind of show where, like, a guy can actually do that.
Right. And
it just happens.
And I think that that's going to be, like, one of the questions I have is, like, Queen healing. Like, what is her... Ooh, healing. Get it?
Yeah.
She heals.
She's a healer. She's like Mercy.
And like and we're jumping ahead, but when we see, it looks like when the king proposed to her or whatever, she looked like she was like in a nun's habit, almost. Like her head was wrapped. I don't know. So I'm just curious, like, I was like, what's her deal? But it does feel like this may be, like John just said, the type of show where some people can just do shit. I mean, there's an underworld, so.
Yeah, right. Like, that's what, like, because when he started, I was like, oh, he's full of shit. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, well, no, like, this is, like, he probably can do this. And then when he said, you know, oh, yeah, you're weak, like, like you said, he's like, you're the weakest thing I've ever seen or whatever. No, like, you can't get stronger ever. And I was like, oh yeah, that tracks. Like, that made sense. And then we obviously learned that it's all Bosse's fault.
Yep.
So that, you know, I like it because, like, we saw whenever Kage and his family were running away from that village or whatever, the guy was like, "Let there be light," and he's like,
yeah,
and you could see like the shadow running away.
Yeah,
and it's just like, this is just a kind of show where people just do that
magic. Yeah,
but
this is like the Merlin universe.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's kind of Arthurian, and like it's interesting because, like, it is in that kind of way where it's the kind of show where you can forget that because it's not all the time. It's not happening like constantly. So like when it happens, you're like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Kind of Game of Thrones, kind of the same kind of thing. Where it's like they're not always doing it. A lot of it is just like, you know, political machinations, and then suddenly like someone's like, oh yeah, I'm a ghost.
They had a snake.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a snake that's like 40 feet tall.
But with Despa, I will say that, like, I got worried when he was like, okay, And he like leaves with the money, and then he comes back the next day, and he's like all beat up. And I'm like, I thought he like gambled all that stuff away. But then it turns out he just got into a fight, and then I was just like, well, is he good? Like, can he train Boji? Like, what does he, or does he just have a drinking problem? Does he just like to drink?
And he got in that fight because somebody was like, hey, your face is bad. so like, is he good looking? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's probably not. But I love because when he walks in, his face is so fucked up, and he was like, he looks at them and he goes, "Did something happen?" And Kage's like, "I was going to ask you." Oh my god, that was so funny. So that night when Kage and Boji go to bed, Kage is like, I was nervous because I was like, oh my god, did he just like take all that money and like, when Kage says, I'll worry about the chores, you just train. And he said, like, you guys will do the housework and stuff. And I was like, oh my god, did he just get like child slavery? Like, what is happening here? I was so nervous.
You kept waiting for him to be a terrible person.
Yes, every time he walked into the room, I was just like, I don't trust it.
I mean, listen, when he was like, hey, we're going to go into this locked door, you can't come in, and he can't tell you what you're doing. And I was like, what is this creepy shit?
Yes, exactly. But you know, it's so funny, the way when they go to bed, and then the way they are, and then when they wake up, the way Kage sleeps. Like, they wake up, Kage's all the way at the foot of the bed, and the sheets are all over the place. I was like, why?
He's so small, but he's such a heavy sleeper.
Yes.
He's tossing and turning, he's full of shit.
Yeah, it's true.
He's got all those things in him. Boji's like an angel.
Yes.
Like, he's just laying there.
Yes.
It was like nobody
Precious.
slept in that bed.
Nope.
And then Despa's in the floor.
Is he?
Yeah, he's like hanging out of the bed, right? He's like halfway out of the bed.
Oh yeah, he was.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that. So Boji cooks. He tries. Now, here's the thing. This started well. I didn't realize we were going to have a problem. Like, when he put the egg in, I noticed it was cracked. But you know what? You fucked up with that a couple of weeks ago. So I was like, it happens. Remember, Kaylee?
Oh, wow.
Boiling an egg.
She tried boiling an egg, and she was like, after you were done, you're like, I don't think this came out right. And I was like, why? And she's like, well, it was kind of cracked when I put it in there. And I was like, oh, Kaylee.
I wasn't sure if it was cracked because I couldn't see a crack when I put it in. But, like, I was like, it might have been.
Yeah, you saw a crack.
No, I didn't.
You're trying to clean it up.
No, I put the egg in, and I was like, maybe that hit the pan too hard.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, okay.
But I inspected it. I was like, I don't see any cracks, so I guess it's fine.
So that's where I thought we were going with Boji. I was like, he's just going to make eggs. It's not going to be perfect. But then he started putting stuff in that pot. And I was like,
put a whole raw potato in it without peeling it.
But I don't know this anime food. I was like, I don't know. Maybe this is some sort of ramen deal's about to happen here, you know? And put all these vegetables. But then he put in like a bushel of something, and it still had the string tied in the bushel together. He put that in. I was like, oh, maybe this isn't right.
This is how Link cooks in Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
Where you just like throw everything into the pan and then it like pops around for a minute and then it's like, now it's a meal.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like most just video games then. That I get, yes. So that's what I thought was gonna happen, but that's not. Then when they came in, he turns around at first, like I was like, do you think it's good? Because he liked it, like the smell and the taste. And I was like, Kaylee, do you think it's good? And she goes, it's purple. So I was like, I guess that's a no. And then it wasn't good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was deadly.
Yeah. And so it's just like he later tells Kage, we got to keep his little ass out the kitchen. It could be deadly for the two of us.
It was so interesting, like the way that he explained it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right,
like,
because of the.
Did you know that he's the child of giants, and now because his stomach is that of a giant, and they can eat anything. They're like goats. You know, that kind of thing. He didn't say that part, but
Right.
you know, they can eat anything. And so, like, it was just interesting. Like that's like Boji apparently is immune to poisons, or at least, you know,
Like who else?
somewhat
we know
immune.
like that.
Killua
and Hunter x Hunter. That's right. That's what I thought of when he said their stomachs, because it can accommodate so much stuff. Like they just become immune to stuff, even most poisons. I kept waiting for this to go somewhere really bad. Like, again, I thought when he was like, are you aware that he's the child of two giants? Like, I thought he was going to say, and then he goes, I'm afraid it's even worse. I thought he was going to bring up the curse.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah.
I think that's what we were supposed to believe.
Yeah. So we're going to dig into that. That's going to be interesting. And then when he goes into the whole thing about the giants and what they can withstand, I was like, oh my God, this is even worse. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. He was just like, no, it sucks for us. This motherfucker will kill us. So we can't let him back in the kitchen. That poor baby. So
he tried.
Yeah, he did. He did. So this, like you mentioned earlier, the training is in secret, which was a little sus. And we saw like some stuff like so I have been trying to get her to watch The Matrix for years. And there's this scene with Boji like dodging the birds and stuff. And I was like, this is like The Matrix, a reference you would get if, and before I could even finish, she was like, I get it. She goes, The Matrix is one of those things that it's referenced so much that you get it without having to get it.
You don't even have to watch it.
And I was like, that's such a Gen Z thing. I was like, fine.
Would you say it on your TikTok? That scene was really similar to me of Batman Begins, when he was like, here are the bats.
I can see that.
And I like the scene when Despa's like, pick your weapon, and he like, and it reminded me of Men in Black, when he was like, here's your gun, the noisy cricket, a little tiny gun. That was fun. That was a fun scene.
Oh, you know what? I meant to mention this like at the beginning of the podcast. I had like put in the margins. You know what I think is interesting about this show? The flip. Like, I think in the first few episodes, you think that Bebin is against Boji, and Appease is not, right? Because Appease votes to keep he votes against the treason. That's what you think, and then now Appease is like this with the fucking underworld mirror. And it feels like it turns out Bebin had his best interests. So it's just interesting, that flip of the characters. Like, I didn't see that coming. Although I still want to know, like you asked, like how that happened. Because we saw Appease approach and, what's her name?
Miranda.
Yeah, Miranda. And she was like, I'm gonna change you, or something like that, right?
We were like, did all of them make deals with the devil?
Right? I was like, how many of you motherfuckers are out here dabbling in blood magic and shit? What the hell? But the house is clean because Kage has been cleaning, and but Kage is also trying to see what's going on in the training room.
I like
and
how
he catches
Kage first said, I'll handle the chores, you focus on training, but we still see shots of Benji cleaning.
Yeah.
Boji cleaning.
Yeah. Kage gets a glimpse, like a peek into the training room, and it looks like Boji split a rock.
Yeah.
Big rock.
That was very Demon Slayer.
Yeah, I think you're gonna say that because I was about to say it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say it's very Dragon Ball Z. This is like the hyperbolic time chamber. Anyway, you go ahead.
And then, like, the episode, we go back to Daida walking into... Oh my God in heaven. Like, what is it even that he hears?
He doesn't like Daida.
He's like you.
Nico. Yeah, so he goes, like, he comes strutting in, and I was so confused because I wasn't sure. Like, I was like, oh, is he now the king? And yeah, that's what it is. He's now the king, is in this child's body. Mm-hmm. This is weird.
Yeah, he's Boss Daida, is what I called him.
Yeah, and it's interesting because in the closed caption, when he speaks, it still says Daida.
It does.
And even when it's Daida in the darkness or wherever he is, it's like, it's so interesting that they didn't change it. So episode 8, the sacrifice of, well, technically I guess it's the same voice actor.
It is.
Yeah,
He's
so,
doing his voice deep.
but still, yeah, the character wise. The sacrifice of dreams is episode 8. Now, I'm still a little, because this is the episode I think where we get a lot of, like, the backstory of the deals and stuff, right?
Why Boji isn't a giant.
Right. And I just have this in the margins, and I'm not sure what I mean, so bear with me. It's just like a question that popped in my head as this episode was beginning. Again, because this is the beginning scenes of this episode is Boss making a deal to give up the power and strength of his future child so that he can become powerful, right? Mm-hmm. And I put here in the margins, is that why he didn't want Boji? Because I couldn't remember what the deal was when the king died, and we didn't see it, right? But that demon showed up. And remember, I did like a eeny, meeny, miny, mo type thing. And it pointed at Boji. And I was so at this point, the demon knows that's the one that was sacrificed all this time. Mm-hmm. So it stands to reason, like, if the king dies, why wouldn't Boji get his power?
I was just about to say maybe that's, like, what was supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, the moment the king dies, his strength goes to Boji.
Right.
But something, maybe Miranjo was doing something to prevent that, so she could resurrect the king.
She was card blocking it. That's what she was doing.
That's exactly what I think she was doing. So, and I'm still kind of like fuzzy on then like the relationships and stuff because, and I guess we could just talk about it now. We're all on the same page that it feels like the king is trying to play these underworld demons, like Miranja.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and I'll just say that now because you mentioned that. Like, so when I didn't realize that was Miranjo with the demon earlier. Mm-hmm. Like, I was thinking, okay, that's some other person with the demon. Mm-hmm. And then King Bosse is cozying up with Miranjo to, like, get her to fuck up that demon and whoever is with him. Okay. That's how I was interpreting it. Mm-hmm. But now that it's, I mean...
Same person.
I think, now that it's the same person, like, I mean, I do think, it's obvious that Bosse is trying to, like, double-cross.
Double-cross them. They've asked for too much.
Yeah, I know that he was trying to... It's obvious that he was trying to go against the demon.
Yeah.
And now that I'm aware that Miranjo was also with the demon, like, now, so he's going against her,
like,
too.
waiting for her to leave.
And he's, like, sending appease, like, to take out the underworld while she's also going to the underworld.
Yeah. Oh, you mean Domas and...
Yeah. Domas, not a piece.
Domas
and Kuro.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I was, like, trying to make sense of that. Like, once we saw the connection, I was like, this is how he got his power. But it's also interesting because when we learned that of him, right, we were like, man, fuck this king. At least that's what I was saying. Kaylee, don't cuss. But you did say, it turns out he was just like every other, like, bad anime dad. There you go. And you were like, we should have known when they killed him off screen. And I was like, oh yeah. Like, But now that you say that, I wonder, like, how did he die?
Yeah.
Well, he was sick, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But, like, why was he sick?
Yeah, this guy,
How did
he
he
was
sick?
like the strongest man at that
Yeah,
time. And
yeah.
we saw he could heal his own wounds.
Yeah.
And like we said before, like, why didn't she heal him?
Yeah.
She's got the ability to do it.
Right, right.
You know, something was interesting to me, and maybe I'm just bad, right? Like, maybe I'm just a bad watcher. But
Oh, I thought you were going to say, maybe I'm just a bad person. I was like, what happened?
yeah, maybe I'm just a bad person, you know? I like when bad things happen to good people. No. Maybe I'm just horrible. No, when I was watching it, I think this is not on me, but because, like, I feel like this show is doing something that, like, animated shows, at least that I've seen, don't typically do, and that is to change characters over time, the appearance of characters over time. And so, like, in that scene with the demon, at first, I didn't get that was Boss until later when he was talking about it. And I was like, oh, okay. Because, like, it didn't look like him. Like, it wasn't, like, on model for the Boss that we know.
Oh.
Like, he didn't have, like, the beard and, like... so I
You
was
mean
like, oh,
when
this is some other guy.
when he was making the deal?
Yeah, when he was with the demon. Yeah, when he was making the deal in the beginning of
okay.
the episode. Because, like, it was him when he was younger.
Right.
And so, like, I don't...
So even when he said, like, the part of the deal about the blood relative and the strength.
Yeah, no, I didn't. No, not at all.
You didn't get, oh, this is why Boji. Okay.
Yeah, not until later when he was, like, when they were talking about it. At some point, they said it, and I was like, oh, okay, that was Boss. It was, like, 10 seconds later, like, when they went to present time.
Okay, 10 seconds. I'll give you that, because I was about to ask Kaylee, is that on John or not?
I mean, it was, like, when they went to, like, the present day and they were talking about it.
Yeah.
He said something about it, and then I was like, oh, okay, it was him.
Okay.
So, but, like, in that scene, it wasn't super clear that was him.
Oh. Maybe it's just, I can't remember if the name was on the screen with the...
I think it was.
Yeah, so maybe for us it's easy. It's, like,
like
subconscious.
And also, when Boji's mom was there, we were like, oh my gosh, she looks just like Boji.
Oh my god,
so
yeah.
It's gotta be his
she
mom.
was drawn so much like Boji. It was adorable.
Yeah, by then I knew it was Boss.
Sheena enters the chat. Who's Sheena?
The mom.
Oh, duh, the mom.
So you have in your notes,
yes.
Sheena enters the chat.
Yes. So here's... I've started doing that out of silliness when I'm taking my notes, but sometimes I've always had this problem when I write by hand. My brain... they don't work at the same time. Like, one's moving faster than the other, so a lot of times my letters will blend together, or I'll miss a letter in a word that I know how to spell. It's just, I can't okay, good, so you know what I mean. So what ends up happening, sometimes the sentence will be really silly, so when I want to say so-and-so enters the chat, the and chat blends, and it'll just be like, Kaylee enters that. So
that happens to me, but like,
that's something about
when
me.
I'm typing too.
Really, it happens to me more with writing.
I'll accidentally skip a few words in a sentence, and I'm just like, wait a second, slow down.
So Sheena, the mom, basically, he's like, you're strong, I'm strong, I need to have a baby.
Let's do it.
Now, here's what's interesting. Like, was he trying to, because he knew that he was only having this child to become stronger, right?
Yeah. He wanted the strongest kid he could possibly have. So
that it wouldn't, whatever effects, the child wouldn't lose to as much or something.
No, I felt like because he wanted the strongest kid so that he could get as much strength from the kid as possible.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, got it. What a terrible man.
I mean, that's how I interpreted it, but I mean, you know.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it's terrible. I was just wondering, like, why couldn't it have been any woman that he would have. But I get it. It was the amount. I think I was thinking he just needed to have someone of his blood. Because remember, he said, well, yeah, because I don't know if that's it, John, because at first, to get it done, it just needed to be a blood relative.
He said that
he didn't have any. So then he was like, well, then it has to be a child. So, like, if all he had was a grandmother, they could have done it. So I think that's what I was thinking, that it was more like a blood thing. But, so he could have had a kid with anybody, right?
Yeah, I think he could have had a kid with anyone, but I think, like, the way that I viewed it was just like, whoever it was, he's going to take all of their strength. So why not have it be the strongest possible person?
Oh, see, I just looked at it as they were going to max out his strength regardless. They just needed the blood of a relative to do the spell. So he wasn't, like, how strong he got didn't really depend on who they took the blood from. Okay.
See, one reason why I like the way that I interpreted it is because the possibility of Boji, like, being that strong. Because, like, then, because if that is the thing, and, like, he's the, like, Boss is the strongest man in the world, and Sheena's the strongest woman in the world, and they had a kid together, now Boji's going to be, like, you know.
And I mean, he is, see, I feel like, I don't know, if maybe it's kind of hokey, and I think it could get a little hokey, and that's fine. Like, by the end of it, doesn't the mirror say Boji is the strongest person?
Yeah.
But that's not like it's not a physical thing, right? Like, I feel like that's going to be like,
we still don't know what kind of training he went through.
This is true,
I think
too.
It's because of the training.
He probably broke that boulder with his pinky. Never mind, I can't say what it is because it's nothing. I can't say it because they're going to watch it and I don't want to spoil it for that person. Okay, for Kaylee, I don't want to spoil it for you. So
maybe he broke it with, like, his mind.
Or, because it does feel like they are doing that whole, like, you don't have to be physically strong to be the best or the strongest.
And we still don't even know, like, what kind of weapon he chose.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pointed at some shit, and it's like, I don't know what it is.
When he dropped that fucking hatchet and it, like, fell, like, and it
landed on his face.
I reacted like
you were his mother and you were there,
and like it was a real possibility they were about to kill the fucking protagonist of the show. I screamed out loud, "Jesus fucking Christ, motherfucker!" or something like that. It was just like a lot of cussing.
It was like he fell out of the window again.
Right? I was like, "What the hell?" It scared the shit out of me.
What if the weapon he chose was a pin? Because it's mightier than the sword.
Jesus Christ. So Boss settles down, and after Kaylee, you picked up on this because I don't think I did. When Boji is born, the moment he is born, Boss had been fighting, and he got all of the strength. He's like, and Boji
like the child is born or some shit. Yeah.
And Boji's like literally in the palm of her hand, just tiny, in the little key in her giant hand. Yeah. And then he decides from then, so he feels like shit, right? After this, because he's no, he doesn't.
Does he? I don't know. Like it felt like because he wasn't like, oh, I wish I could give my strength back. Like, it was like, oh, I guess I'm just going to create, like, the safest place for this kid to grow up all weak and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Like, it was because, I don't know how bad he felt, but I think he felt a responsibility to the kid.
But he was like, he shouldn't want for anything, and but it was funny the way he goes, like, walking up that hill. We were like, okay, this looks a little ridiculous. Like, it started kind of cool, then it just looked like he might as well have been wearing slippers. It was so undignified.
It looked like they just, like, shrunk his image.
It was so weird. So then Daida and I wrote in my notes, Daida Boss looks in the mirror and they learns that he is not the strongest, but they don't show us who it is that he sees in the mirror, and he just like laughs like, ain't that a bitch?
And then I'm like, well, obviously it's Boji then.
Right. And then the mirror is like, when can we kill your wife? And he's like, toot sweet. Get to it. And then it cuts to Healing getting the news about Boji from Hokuro. Damn it. And then we see, okay, I'm a little confused about what happened here with Dumbass and Hokuro. When he wakes up and he's like, we need to go back. He's like, I'm not going back. I go back, they're going to kill me. And then he's like, well, I'll go back, and she needs to know what happened to her son, and I won't mention the part about the other stuff. Like, I'll just tell them what I saw. Like, and I don't know what the fight was about. They're like, what were they beefing about? Like, because he woke up like he was going to, like, kill him or try to kill him. Like, to bring him to justice or whatever. So I'm not 100% sure what this fight was about. Was it just, like, I understand if the one guy, if Dumbass was like, look, I'm not going back. Like, I'm not going to hang for this shit. And then Hokuro was like, I need to bring you in to bring you to justice. But it felt like he also, Dumbass, also didn't want the other guy to go back. Like, did he just want them both to, like, disappear?
That's kind of the impression I got, or at the very least, he didn't want him mentioning his name if he went back.
Because he lets him go back. But is it just
storms out? Yeah, he's like, I'm out of here.
So is it just that he didn't want, that he was just like, I don't, like, it doesn't matter what happened, the prince is dead, so they're going to kill us both. And why would you want to go back and get killed for it? You didn't do it.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I felt like, he felt bad.
Okay.
Domas, I think, felt bad about doing this, which, I mean, who gives a shit? He did it. But, like, he did feel bad, I felt like, and so it was kind of like he was lashing out, it seemed like.
Okay.
Kind of like he was taking out his emotions on Hokuro.
But then later he does show up to rescue him.
With one hand.
With one hand. And here's what's interesting. When he storms out and Hokuro throws that knife.
He misses, but he's like laughing. We were like, you don't know how close you were to getting a knife to the back of the head.
You said you're giggling walking out the door. Next thing you know, donk. So you'll be torn limb from limb.
That's what Healing says.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I had that written here, and I was like, okay, so that is why. Because I was like, why is he in trouble? Just because they failed. Because he failed. He let
Boji.
Okay.
Like for as far as she was aware, like they were just going like to their grandmother's house.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
She didn't know they'd be passing by that giant pit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
The gates of hell.
Why the hell were y'all camping out the gates of hell? Okay, that's fair. And then there's Appease versus those dragon dogs. And this is when they were like being initiated, right? Like, right? Like he was fighting them like as a, like testing them.
To see if they're strong enough.
Stronger, yeah, something like that. Yeah. And this is, again, I was just like, oh, why do we hate Appease now? But we do, right? What do you mean?
I feel like he's doing this more for the king and less for Miranjo.
Really? Okay. But, okay, so I'm jumping ahead, but when the king is whispering down in the courtyard and Appease in the mirror is like, Appease, what the fuck is the king down there whispering? And the Appease is like, I couldn't tell you. I can't hear it. You can't hear it, but she's like, I can hear it. I don't know. But like that whole scene, you think he was like covering for the king? Because it felt like they were tight in that scene, him in the mirror.
He was just holding the mirror.
I mean, okay.
I feel like Appease is just like tight with whoever is like in charge.
Okay.
He's one of those kind of guys. He appeases
so funny.
whoever's in charge.
It's so funny to me that he was like they had to bring the mirror out and she, like hold it so she can see. Let's finish this mirror.
Speaking of Doctor Who, it's like what's her name?
Cassandra. Yeah, moisturize me.
Wear around.
So yeah, I still was like, why is he being executed? But I understand it now. But then Dumbass comes back to rescue him, and the king thwarts their escape. King Dida, but we know it's King Bosse. And he's like, who goes there? You know, this shit cracked us up because Dumbass stops and he's like, first the king is like, who goes there? And he's like, Dida? No, wait, this is, something ain't right here. He's like, I can't tell exactly why this is off. But this is fucking off. Like, why are you holding that big ass?
Yeah, there's no big ass club.
He's like, how is it? This ain't right. And then when he swings on him and he realizes he has to drop Hokuro, he's like, oh. That noise he made.
He sounded like Goofy.
He did. He sounded like Goofy. It was so funny. We watched that scene like 3 times. And that's what I mean. It's like stuff like that where I'm just like, what the fuck is going to happen? But at the same time, like, I'm laughing out loud. And the king announces here that Boji is alive. And just like that, I had forgotten about the thing in the mirror.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, that's how he knows Boji's alive. And I like that about this show. So then we get this guy.
And he's like, Dumbass and Hokuro, you gotta get the fuck out.
Yes. Yeah, they're banished. But
and
first
then he like whispers to him, and he's like, and I was like, what is he whispering? Because I was the same as Appease. I was like, I don't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah.
And then later, like, immediately afterward, Domas is like, we gotta destroy the underworld. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, I get it now.
But first, we get a snake flashback. And it's these palace guards, like, torturing that 2-headed, 3-headed snake.
For no reason.
Like, and so I said to you, I was like, we still don't know, like, what happened to that 3rd head. And you were saying that you thought that that's where the snake lost the 3rd head. Like,
from those guards.
From those guards.
Because they were just torturing it.
Really? I don't know.
It was...
Because those snakes are, like, they've been through some shit. Because, like you said, there's, like, 2 heads and there's, like, 1 eye among the 2 heads.
Yeah.
But this is, like... Because, like, we saw Boji playing with the snake, right? And it was smaller than it was here.
And did it have 2 or 3 heads? I don't remember.
I feel like it only had 2 heads back then. In that scene.
Yeah. So I feel like we still can get, like, I'm curious to know. Yeah. And we see Bebin save them from those guards. And
he looked different too.
Yeah, he did, but he still had a dick chin. So
yeah, it was like he was obviously Bebin. Like there was no like, oh, who is this? It was like, oh, it's Bebin.
Domas is banished. This is so interesting. Again, it's like kind of parallel to what happened earlier in the season, where someone is leaving, but they have like this secret mission to, you know. So Domas is banished with these words, and like you said later, they have to seal off this like entryway to the underworld, right? Not destroy it, but just seal off.
Yeah,
something
and
like that.
What I liked about that was like, you could still interpret that as the king like trying to trap Boji in the underworld.
Right. But really, it's to make so that homegirl.
I feel like he's trapping Miranjo in there.
Yeah.
It feels like.
And he was like, Hokuro, you got to go too. And I was like, what he do? I still was like,
yeah, he didn't do anything.
I was like, why does he have to go? Then he whispers to Dorshe. Is that his name?
Dorsha.
Right, Dorsha. And he whispers something to him, and they don't tell us what he says there. And this is when he tells the queen who he is, right? Mm-hmm. And then we see the Dida is in darkness, just like in this vast, kind of like in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, you don't know what I mean. All right, episode 9, The Queen and the Shield. This episode was so good.
It was.
Yeah.
It's so
I always
good.
like seeing killing in the past.
Yeah, she's so interesting. Because I was like, partway through this episode, I was just like, what the fuck is her deal? Like, I couldn't.
And then you're like, is she just awkward?
I was like, is she really just that fucking awkward? She's like abrasively awkward.
Mm-hmm. I think it's charming.
So, Portia, really?
Yeah, I like her.
Wait, what's his name? Dorsha. These names are annoying. Sorry if you're listening and your name happens to be Dorsha.
Spelled exactly like
yes,
that.
my bad. Dorsha is assigned to the queen, and he looks at this as, this is a flashback, as some sort of
demotion.
Yeah, like maybe
this,
the king has lost confidence in him.
This was so good. I really enjoyed this, and it was so like. I mean, I'm kind of getting ahead a little bit, but like when I was watching this, I was like, "Is he Dinah's father?"
Yes, I remember because we had kind of talked. Well, you guys had kind of talked about this last time, and I thought, "Oh my god, is this how this happens?"
Yeah,
this would
like,
make
it's
sense.
either a Pease or it's Dorsha. It's somebody.
And we see that the queen is trying to get, because she's really rude to Dorsha, right? Mm-hmm. But oh my god, that dog! She's really rude to Dorsha, but she then we see that what she's trying to do is charm Boji into like warming up to her.
Mm-hmm. Carries around a slice of cake.
Yes, and she literally chases this child with this cake, but then he just takes it to his mom's grave.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was like him running from this cake was like so funny. Because then like it was like she was storming the Capitol. She like climbed the wall and it was like there's a door right there.
Yeah.
But like, and she got so out of breath, and he was like fine.
Yep. And we see like her learning sign language to communicate with him. And then you see in the background he's learning it too, mm-hmm. which I thought was cool. And what is the event that happens that leads him to when he goes to the king? I don't have it in my notes. And the king is like, can you tell me, is she worth...
I think it's after he sees that she's getting along with Boji.
Okay. That's the thing that changed. That's right. Because he walks up and he's like, she's communicating with him. Mm-hmm. She's like, he's fine. He's not going to hurt us. And, okay.
It felt like when he was falling in love with her. That's what it felt like. When he was like, oh, wait, yeah, like, she's really nice.
Yeah. And so... because... I'm sorry, I forgot to say, the queen passes out at the news about the king, right? Because he does that demonstration where he presents the diamond and all that stuff, and she realizes it's him. And she's like, well, where's my son? And
he doesn't know.
Right. Yeah.
And like, I believe that. Like, I don't think that he knows where Dad is. He's like, I'm here. Like, I don't care where he is.
Is this where she gets knocked out?
No. That's after she tries to...
That's right. So this is it. So she's just in the bed, and then they send those Miranja sends those dogs, those demon, devil, dragon dog thingies after her. 3 of them. No, 4.
There was 4, but there's 3 now because you were in the kitchen. This is happening, but the king fought off one of them. Like after Appease was fighting them off, he stepped in and he.
Okay, that's right. Okay,
so,
okay,
there's one less.
Okay. So now Dorsha has to fight these things, and as he's like fighting, he's like hulking out, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Does everybody on this show have a thing? Like,
it was so like, because like they start biting him, and I was like, oh no, he lost.
Yes.
And then like they rip his clothes off, and it's like, no, he's got armor on.
Yes.
And then like he starts hulking out, and he breaks the armor off. I was like, no, don't do this.
And then later they were like, you see that she says that even those things were no match against his strength unless he took off his armor. Yeah, we were like, oh, fuck, he already did that.
But he still won.
Yeah. Because then I was like, oh my god, is he gonna die? Is he gonna die? Is he gonna die?
So I want to point out, do you remember the scene where, I can't remember exactly what's happening in the scene, but the king is talking, and, oh yeah, it's like when he swings his club at Dorsha, and Dorsha blocks it, and then he's like, that's what you'd expect from one of the big four.
Yeah.
So the big four is Dorsha, Domas, Bebin, and Apis.
Ah.
So, yeah. That's
Okay.
that's my assumption.
Okay.
And I love the we saw Bevin with the snake. I love that. I don't remember if we actually.
Yeah.
said
I'm
that
sorry. We
part.
started talking about something else. That's right. He wakes
Yeah, so
up.
he's like,
yeah.
and he calls him, okay, snake charmer, you're gonna be on the king's hand or whatever.
Yes. That's right.
This is so good. It's just a really it's not just like this episode being good, right? Like it's the fact that they have this is episode 9, they have the 8 episodes leading up to this that built these characters to the point where it's interesting enough to show their backstory like this.
Yeah. And so
then,
this
at the same time, they introduced Dorsha in this episode.
Right. I was just going to say that's really interesting. Like, it was a lot of character development in just a really short period. I mean, it's not even an hour of TV, like in a drama, a really short period of time. And it made me wonder, though, to see, was that the plan? Because the king has known from... Oh my God. Tell him to just let the dog out at this point, please. The king has known from when he made the deal, right? What he's been dealing with. So since before Boji was born. So I wonder if all of this is even the plan. He knew he would need someone like Dorsha protecting the queen eventually. Mm-hmm. It couldn't have been just anybody. She couldn't have had just a regular queen's guard guarding her. It had to be someone considered one of the 4. Because I think he knew this day would come, right? Because he did say when they were like, can we finally kill her as promised or something like that? Yeah. Right. So I think he expected this day to come eventually.
Yeah, and I really like when he's telling Dorsha, he's like, there's going to be an attack on the queen, and I'm going to do nothing to stop it.
Right. We learned later that's what he told him. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's he has to look like he wants it to succeed.
Exactly.
He can't let Miranjo know that he doesn't want her to die.
Yeah. So the queen is awake, and the Dorsha's like, "Oh, you're okay," and she's like, "Of course I'm okay, and I'm going to find my son." And then we see that the last we saw Daida, he was walking, trying to figure out where he was. At first he thought he was in a cellar or something, and he realized, no, this is not a room. This is weird. And we see him just walking, and he's eventually kind of going mad, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we get it's cold in there wherever it is, right? Is he shivering at one point?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe I'm imagining. Maybe I just want him to freeze.
He's in his own cold heart.
Yes. So, I skipped over this. The king dances with Miranja, but
a doll.
In a doll's, a mechanical doll's body, and it doesn't. They can't do it for too long because, her magic is weak, so she has to go back to the underworld to, replenish or some shit.
Or the mirror. Is she in the underworld?
Well, but she's going to the underworld. She left with those 2 things. So that's why he's able to do all this stuff while she's gone. And then she says she's going to pick more demons to replace those. Remember? She says, and I'll come back with.
I don't remember that.
Oh.
And it's he's seducing her.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's I kind of felt bad for her in that scene. Because she's so into it.
Yeah.
And it's he's just using her.
Wow.
And she's like, he wants to dance with me.
And she's like, I'm going to come back with things that are, that'll definitely kill your wife. You felt sorry for her.
She's like, I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring my toothbrush. I'm going to leave it here.
So Healing confronts the king, and when she's in the throne room about where her son is, and she's like yelling, and the Daida can hear her, and then she can hear him, and she eventually realizes that she can hear him from like inside the king, the body, Daida's body, and she's like, I'm gonna, and then like she's like, he's in there, can't you hear? We realize nobody else in the room can hear it. Sorry, nobody else in the room can hear it, and she's like, well, fuck it. You know, he died. He should have stayed dead. I'm going to get my son. And she has a fucking dagger, like, holstered to her leg.
Yeah, I love that.
This is very House of the Dragon.
Like, what she says is so fucked up. She's like, you were dead and you should have stayed dead.
Yes. No, it's not. It's not.
I mean...
No, it's fucked up to... I mean, it's not fucked up in this situation.
Yeah. Like,
But
you
out of
had your
context,
time. Right. So she's gonna, like, stab him, and then Dorsha, like, knocks her out, like, chops her in the back of the neck.
Judo chop.
Mm-hmm. And this is where he's told to get her out of the country, like, while the mirror is gone, basically. Dorsha has to get the queen out of the country.
While the mirror is gone. That's
You know what I mean. And Daida's throwing like a kind of tantrum because he's stuck in this isolated place where he can't see or hear. Yeah, he can't hear his mom anymore. And he starts to wonder if this is what it's like for Boji. Like, a little too late now, fucker. Sorry.
Yeah, Daida has to go through, like, all this shit just to feel something for his brother.
Right.
Which, I mean, is it really his brother? I mean,
Oh my God.
I mean, different mom, different dad.
I swear, this is like that time you were accusing the frog lady on The Mandalorian of being a whore.
I wasn't accusing her. I was making observations that were sound.
So yeah, that's it. The next podcast is just going to be 2 episodes, right? Like, when we were watching these, so much was happening. I was like, how the hell did Josh think we could watch 5? Like, 'cause much happened in these 3. Like, we learned so much. There's, like, again, so many questions. I was like, I get that there's still training, I guess, going on. So I understand why he considered this one arc. But my God, there was so much. 5 would have been way too much for my brain. Like, right now, to be like, and then... and then next episode. And then you got one more after that. Oh, my God. No, too much happened.
I mean, Josh didn't he have one segment that was like 9 or 10
Yeah,
episodes?
coming up, we're going to have to, like, break up again. But, yeah. And now I can see where, like, 3 is a good with this show.
Yeah, I mean, it's roughly an hour.
Yeah. So that's it. I don't know that we're going to be able to record next week, but we are a week ahead with this show, like in the posting. So it's possible that you may not see a lapse in coverage of this show. But yeah, I highly doubt we'll be able to record next week because that's the week that we're traveling and visiting with family. But after that weekend, we should be settled in somewhat relatively to our new place and able to record, hopefully more quietly.
Everyone will be in
separate rooms. Huh?
He said there won't be people outside.
Yeah, there won't be people outside to disturb our dog. Because again, I feel like he would be fine if it's. Yeah, I really want people to understand he's not just like barking because of us or anything, like trying to be annoying. He's just not used to these noises, and he's territorial. So I think it's a protection thing. He's just like,
Who's that knocking at my door?
Right. So if our neighbor gets pizza delivered or something, or people coming home from work, he hears everything. So there will be no more of that because we'll be so isolated. It's very exciting, but also scary, but also exciting. Yeah. Shut up. So anyway.
Why is it scary?
Because it's like new place, and I'm going to be alone. Like, you know, it's just going to be us for a few weeks until Donnie comes, so I'm a little scared. So, and some more stuff I'll tell you about in private. I'm scared. So, anyway.
And so we're going to say the address right here.
Right, so you can come on and visit. No. But yeah. You might not see a lapse in coverage of this, but there is still plenty of other stuff that we're covering, if so, and that we are ahead of. So there will definitely be podcasts published next week, but some stuff, you know, maybe a little bit hard. Either way, thank you guys for listening. The next time we are back, we're just going to be talking about episodes 10 and 11. I can't make a stupid joke out of that. Yeah, I can't. Sorry, I tried.
I get it.
Thank you. We'll talk to you next time.